Hello, welcome to Catholic Life, ordinary people with extraordinary faith. I'm Deacon Jody Moscona. Thank you so much for joining us today. Today we have another one of our new deacons who was recently ordained for the Diocese of Baton Rouge. As you know, we ordained 4 men recently for service to the diocese, and today we have Deacon Pat Witty with us. Hi, Deacon. How are you?
Deacon, good to be here. This is. I wish my mom could be watching. So.
Are you getting used to that? Hi, Deacon. How are you?
I am not getting used to that. I'm trying to manage expectations for folks. So I just tell them to just call me Pat. We'll ease into it.
I did the same thing after I was there. I said, just call me Jody. Well,
yeah,
that lasted about a nanosecond.
Yeah. People have been very, very kind. At least they're asking me which way I'd like to go. So
that's interesting.
Yeah, it's been nice.
Well, congratulations. I know it's an exciting time, the enthusiasm is there, that's God within. And so I know you're filled with grace and blessed with the grace of the ordination, the sacrament. And I know that you're probably still on a high.
It is quite a buzz.
Yeah.
I just keep telling myself, the real work is coming.
Oh, yes.
The real work is coming.
It is.
This has been a extraordinary time. People are so kind. People I don't know just have walked up and said, "Hey, we've been praying for you," and I realize that that's all part of it. But now the work is coming.
Absolutely. So tell the folks a little bit about your background. Where'd you grow up and all that kind of stuff.
Sure. I affectionately refer to my hometown as the motherland because I seem to always go back there to get kind of rooted again, get a good sense of who I am and where I'm from. But I was raised in Morganza, Louisiana, up in Point Coupee Parish, north of here. Raised in Morganza, raised in the Baptist church. Mom and dad, my mom was from Laurel, Mississippi. My dad was from there. Went to school there at Morganza High School. Went on to LSU from there. Spent probably a little more time there than I should have spent.
Crammed that 4-year program into 5.
Yeah, I'd worked as hard as I could to do that.
But many of us have done that.
Yeah, but that place really is I always love to go back and as I've told a number of people, I couldn't wait to get out of a small town. Like a lot of young folks, I couldn't wait to get out. I used to tell my mom, boy, if I ever get an opportunity, I'm never coming back. So I moved 7 miles down the road to New Roads is where I live now. I moved, my wife and I moved there in 1984 and been there for a number of years. And that's where we settled. That's where we've had our family and settled in and really, really enjoyed there.
I've been in a courthouse there many times.
Yeah, beautiful old courthouse. I prefer not to go in unless I'm just visiting friends.
Yeah, I don't go there anymore. So Morganza, I'm very familiar with it. Easy Rider was filmed there.
Yeah.
I mean, I love the area. I'd go across the spillway. I have a friend that's from Hamburg, which is on the other side of the spillway. So I know it well, and I can understand why you have such a deep draw to go back home sometimes. It's so peaceful.
It really is. People take care of each other. They look out for each other. And I know that happens in a lot of other places. But where we grew up, you move from your family into your school, into your church, and because it's a small community, those are typically the same groups of folks.
Right. Yeah.
So you just seem you were always in a family. You were always being looked out for. You were always being taken care of. And I didn't appreciate that so much until I've gotten a little bit older. And now it becomes, it's something I treasure.
So tell us about your conversion.
Sure. I wish I could say that my conversion was a whiz-bang kind of conversion. Raised a Baptist, loved my time in the Baptist church. The church I went to was right next door to where I lived. My family went there. My mom used to, I can recall her singing in the pew and me trying to be not so fidgety. But I had a lot of friends, and the young lady that I courted and decided to marry is a lifelong Catholic. So maybe I decided, hey, I think I want to join this kind of, group in terms of another family, another group of folks who really affectionately love the Catholic Church. Maybe not the best reason or the best draw, but we got married in 81. In 91, I lost my father. And I have to say, things began to kind of crystallize in terms of, where you're going, what's your path. And I guess at that point, I joined the Catholic Church at my marriage in 81. And in 91, I guess I kind of had a reversion and really fell in love with the Catholic Church. And I guess that's where my love for and my desire to be more involved and engaged in the church, that's when it really started. But all along the way, I had a wife and a mother-in-law and a family that continued to kind of, hey, be engaged, get in church, stay in church, do good things in church if you can, And so I guess the conversion kind of continues.
Yeah,
It
well,
kinda
that's
continues,
true.
Yes.
Every time we walk out of church, we should go through a conversion.
Absolutely.
After every Mass.
Absolutely.
So got married, Catholic family, became a Catholic, got more involved in the church.
Yes.
And at what point did you start to feel maybe this pull toward the diaconate?
Another kind of a odd occurrence, I guess. I encountered my first deacon, I guess, and it was at St. Mary Falls River, and Deacon Norm Christoph. Deacon Norm is now deceased, and he never greeted you with a handshake. He greeted you with a hug, and always just so welcoming. He always had a smile on his face. And then I've encountered other gentlemen along the way, Tom Robinson and Mike Thompson, and friends of mine in other places, Tommy Benoit here in the diocese, Mike Talbot over near Abita Springs. All these guys had decided to what I call kind of formalize their service, had decided, you know what, I've done a number of things, I want to serve the church, maybe I can formalize my service. And that's really, I guess that's what kind of moved me into at least looking at formation. I looked at it several years ago when my daughters were still pretty young and decided maybe I need to focus on that ministry, staying at home and being with them and my wife. And then later on, I guess now 6 years ago, decided I would take another look at it.
So how many daughters do you have?
Two daughters.
Two daughters. Are they grown now?
Oh yeah, grown, married, exceptional sons-in-laws, and the best gift of all, I have two grandboys, one from each daughter, one
That's
from each
awesome.
family. So our family grows, and we're at a wonderful time in our lives right now.
Good. So what kind of career did you have?
Well, I've been in banking, and then I've been in economic development. I've been in development now for about 30 years. I worked in the utility business, but I've been with the state now in their economic development department for approaching 18 years. And that's been another blessing to me because it's been a great job. It really has been.
That's interesting. So you had some encounters with some deacons that kind of put a seed in the back of your mind at some point, and then you said around 6 years ago, I'm sure that's when you started the discernment.
Correct.
Tell us about the discernment process.
Well, I guess in a lot of ways it's very sobering. I mean, it's a discernment about whether or not you have a call to serve in a diaconate, but it's as much a discernment about how serious are you to become more intimate in your faith, more intimate in your relationship with Christ. And it asks you a lot of questions, maybe questions that have always been lingering, but questions you just did not dare to ask yourself. What is my purpose? What should I be doing? Where can I best use my time and energy? And but the discernment process, I was told from day one, it'll be a 5-year process. Don't feel like, again, you don't move from stage 1 to stage 2. It's a continual process. It's always been affirming. It's always been eye-opening. It's always been, in a lot of ways, kind of helps to draw you outside of yourself, think about things maybe you haven't thought about before. To me, it's been another beautiful part of the whole process of getting to this point of becoming a deacon.
So when you had these encounters with these men who were deacons,
Yes.
when did what a deacon is begin to crystallize for you in your consciousness? And what deacons can do and all that kind of stuff?
That's a great question. Well, I will say as kind of before that, we were very heavily engaged in youth ministry. My girls were growing up. We were involved in that. I saw what other men and women were doing in the church with that, and then that spread throughout the diocese. And then I continued to encounter these men who were involved in the diaconate. And it wasn't just, it was absolute service. It wasn't, I'm a deacon, I have a badge, and I only do these 5 things. It was a deacon, here's a pair of gloves, we got work to do here, or we've got a fundraiser to work on, or we're going to be with the youth at this particular event. That's when I began to see that these men believed that service was the greater call, that it just gave them another opportunity to be full-fledged, engaged in their faith.
Right.
And for me, it was a spark that maybe that's something I could do. I mean, clearly, a number of us come to this thinking that this is maybe I really haven't earned my spot. But in this case, we begin to learn that, well, the spot's there. You just got to figure out the best way for you to fill it, the best way for you to be the best you can in whatever job. In this particular case, the great fortune to be a deacon.
Right. So what I heard you say is that service was the magnet.
Yes.
And what a lot of the people that are watching should know is that is what deacon means, servant, and the call of the diaconate is one to service. And many of us see deacons in the liturgical setting, and it looks so, he's up there by the altar next to the priest, so isn't that cool, Yeah. It's really putting the gloves on and getting dirty, isn't it?
Well, it really is, because, we can go to any church parish. You can go to the one that's most flourishing, maybe the one that is having a few struggles, but the bottom line is we've got parishioners who are looking to draw closer to Christ, and they do it through tons of different opportunities and avenues. And I think that's where we can kind of fill that breach. Hey, I can help here, I can help there, and get things done. So
let's continue that right after a short break. How's that? We're about ready to take a break, and we'll get back to that on the other side break. Stay with us. We'll be back in just a second.
I think God gives all of us gifts, different kinds of gifts. But we all have a warmth inside of us, and we have kindness in us. And those gifts are not to keep to ourselves. God gave them to us because we're supposed to share them.
Let me see, babe. Yeah, look right here in your own train. Oh, good.
I think nursing home ministry is sharing those gifts. It's letting the people know that they're not alone. Somebody else cares about them, that God cares deeply for them. Spending time with the nursing home ministry is very, very rewarding.
Welcome back to Catholic Life, ordinary people with extraordinary faith. Thank you for staying with us through the break. Today we're talking to one of our newest deacons, Deacon Pat Witty, who is assigned to St. Mary's in Falls River, and that's his parish. And we've been talking about the idea of service, and that's where we kind of ran out of time right before the break. But look, you were starting to say about how that service impacts the folks and how important it is to the people.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, I feel like folks want to be engaged, and I think service opportunities, if they will just step out a little bit and step forward, there's tons of things we can do to try to help engage our parishioners. At the same time, I think parishioners need to be asked. They need to kind of figure out what their best spot is. Many just come to church and they want to figure out how they can help, but sometimes they're a little nervous about that. And I think where we can help, where deacons can help, is to kind of bridge between what they might see on Sunday and then all of the other activities that are going on in the church, and how we might connect kind of their resource, their talent, to a need that is obviously, that apparent in the church. Mm-hmm. We got so many people that do so many good things in our church, and just trying to support them and augment what they do and stay out of their way when it's really going well, and try to be of service when we can.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome. So when you started to see this need to kind of formalize this service, yes, and you kind of got a sense that it was going to be possibly through the diaconate.
Yes.
And you were drawn to that formal discernment. I'm sure you went to those sessions where they, yes, kind of try to discourage you in a way.
Yes.
Tell us about that part.
Yeah, I mean, in my business, we work with small business, and we have discernment sessions for them, because we try to put in front of them all of the things they need to think about before they actually sign the dotted line, before they actually try to go into business. And many times it's because that is a sobering kind of process. Some people decide that's not for them. In terms of the diaconate, that program's always been, folks are very clear. It's not they don't create this vision of like a fantasy. I mean, they tell you straight up front, these are the things that you ought to be thinking about. These are the things that will be required. These are the things that will help you be of best service to the church. Are you up to that call? And we have once a year interviews. We have evaluations. We have opportunities for us to discern out on a number of occasions. And I think it's continued to be a draw for me, and I've asked a question. I asked a question of my spiritual director. So what do you think? I've been kind of having a few questions pop up into my head, and he said, well, have you had any conversations with God, and he's told you, stop what you're doing, don't move forward, the questions must be correct, or they must be leaning you in a certain way? And I said, well, not particularly. We'll keep going, press on. Let's just see what happens. And I think that kind of really transparent kind of look at things has been more helpful than not, for sure. Because I think the church wants us, above all things, just to be authentic in our desire to want to serve, you know. Not to serve for service sake, but to serve for Christ, to serve our church, and to serve the other. That's one thing that has struck me during formation, is this love of the other that I've just not been very good at. And this calls us all to think about the other. And I think when we do that, and we bring that to service, it only enhances what we do. God can take pretty much little pieces of nothing and do some beautiful things with it. And I'm counting on that.
God is like that.
I'm counting on that. So,
for me and for some of the other deacons I've talked to through the years, the call was not to the diaconate, it was to the process, the formation process. And the formation leads you either out or in, depending on what God is calling you to do.
That's a great insight, because I mean, even prior to formation, I'd been through, a number of programs and academic kinds of, endeavors to try to learn more about my faith. And when I found out that, this had a huge academic, huge intellectual piece, that was very attractive, because I'd always kind of been engaged in that, had a lot of interest in that. And then you actually get into formation, you actually get into the academic side of it, and you kind of experience the rigor of it. It is a different thing, but it does help you to understand better. Somebody called me in the back of church one day and said, "Well, so are you the smart? Have you decided you're the smartest guy in the class now?" And I said, "Well, no, I think I've decided I don't know a whole lot, because our church is so rich. There's so much information. There's so much that we can go and take a look at, and to help us understand things better." And for me, that's been a real kind of the pleasurable side of it. Now, thank goodness for my wife, because she would poke me occasionally and said, "I think you got a paper due, or you might have some reading you got to get done. You might want to go on and get that done." So I do need that kind of encouragement as well.
And that's important for folks to realize that the first vocation of all deacons is our vocations to our marriage. And then the diaconate is second. In fact, the last thing you have to do is get your wife to sign off.
That's correct.
So it's really a collaborative effort between us and our spouses.
It really is.
And they do sacrifice, but it's a sacrifice that is a gift to the church.
Yes.
So as you were getting a little bit closer through the formation process, and we've talked about the 5 years at Fran U on other programs, I don't think we need to get into too much about it, but as you were going through it and ordination became more and more of a likelihood, how did that change your perspective, if it did?
Well, I think I enjoyed answering the question when people say, "Well, where are you in formation?" I said, "Oh, I'm just finished my second year. Still got 3 years to go." And that seemed real comfortable. That seemed like a good place to be. And the closer it got, honestly, the more nervous I got, because it was going to become a reality, God willing. Because again, as I mentioned early on, now the real work begins. Now the opportunity for me to make a difference, or to turn the dial a little bit, is now going to become a real deal. So nervousness, but in a sense that excited, but wanting it to be the best I could make it, best I could do in my particular role.
So as ordination day approached, was your family getting excited also?
Yeah, my daughters presented me with a little ordination gift a couple of days prior to, and that's when it all gets real. They're engaged, they understand my excitement, and they want to kind of, I guess, enhance that, or just let me know, "Hey, we're with you, Pop. We're hanging in there with you." And that it's again. Formation has allowed me to become more and more aware of things that I probably could have done a whole lot better, but the blessings that are in front of me every single day. And those things just became crystal clear, the closer we got to ordination.
And then ordination day came, and tell us a little bit about that.
That was, so maybe you'll have to edit this out, but somebody was asking me, "Well, tell me about ordination." I said, "Look, here's the prayer for ordination. Just don't let me throw up on the bishop's shoes." So that was my resounding prayer for about 24 hours coming up to the event. It was extraordinary. I mean, it's just, we've been having poor weather. The weather was beautiful. It was a little hot, but that was fine. The weather was beautiful. The liturgy was extraordinary. To see so many brother deacons, see so many priests. So many of my family members there that were able to be there. It was just an extraordinary day. It's just one I'll never, ever forget. So grateful, so many people. I had people from the motherland come in from Morganza. I had people from my home parish now at St. Mary, folks from Immaculate Conception in Lakeland where I'd done my internship. It was a great day, and it's just a great culmination to a lot of work, a lot of anxiety, a lot of nervousness, but boy, it was nice. It really was.
Right. And so now you're assigned to St. Mary's?
Yes.
And have you, what has the engagement been like there? I mean, you have some certain things you've been assigned to do?
Yeah, well, I guess I'm on a little bit of a listening tour right now. I mean, I know Father Decker, who is being very patient with a brand new deacon. We've had great exchanges about kind of where the needs might be. He's been very patient again, just to let me know, hey, just kind of find your way. Yeah, we could load you up with 5 things, but find your way. Let's figure out the best way you can be of service to the church. And then the staff there has been extraordinary. We started conversations probably, I don't know, just when they announced that I was going to become a deacon. They've been so very helpful. And in Immaculate Conception, it was kind of a pass from Immaculate Conception to St. Mary. That transition was extraordinary, and so it's been good. I still have a lot of things to kind of figure out, but it's been good. I've already, of course, I'm serving at Mass and been assigned to do a few things thus far, but we're kind of working on that right now.
Well, that's great. That's
Yeah.
great. I'm sure Father Chris Decker is going to utilize your gifts in a very profound way. I'm sure God is going to direct the whole thing. The Holy Spirit's going to be in charge, because God is always in charge. It's His plan that we're executing through the grace that He gives us through the ordination, the
Absolutely.
sacramental, the extraordinary grace that we
Yes.
get through ordination. Well, listen, I want to tell you that you're a blessing to your parish, you're a blessing to the diocese and to the whole community. And I want to thank you for following the call, accepting it, and giving yourself to us in the way that you have given yourself to us.
It's very kind of you. I'm very thankful to all the brother deacons throughout the diocese, because they've been open arms and helpful along the way, and I look forward to working alongside with them.
Absolutely fantastic. So we have one more deacon to go in our series, and we'll catch that one a little bit later. But for all of you, I want to thank you for watching Catholic Life. It's always an honor to just be here for you. And thank for Deacon Pat, and thank you for watching. Until next time, God bless everyone.